All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Villain Viver podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Elk, and along with me today we have.
Ashley and
Ava.
Right.
Oh.
You're supposed to say and.
And.
Ryssi. Woo! Hi, Ginger. I plugged it in my server.
All right. So today we'll be interviewing Ava and Ryssi from season 8, getting a little more of their perspective and thoughts about the season. So, Ashley, why don't you go ahead and start us off with our first question?
Okay, so first of all, super excited to have you both here. Big fan. So the first question that I'm going to ask is a question that I ask to everyone who comes on the show, and it is just pretty simple. Can you give us not a brief, just an overview of your game from, beginning to end? You can keep it as brief or go as long and in depth as you would like. And this is to both Ryssi and Ava. Feel free to fact check each other as you go.
You want to start?
It's up to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I started on, I think, Manhattan, and that had,
Ryssi!
What?
We were Brooklyn!
Brooklyn, Manhattan, whatever. I got the 10, Hi, Zap. So, we started on Brooklyn. Yeah, okay. We started on Brooklyn. It was me, Ava, Zap, Sean, AW. Is that what we're calling him? I know there's a not yet. Oh, wait, Sean AU. Sean AU, and two other people who I can't remember. I was partnered up with Alex, and Alex did significantly better than me. He was really slay. I really liked being paired up with Alex, so I sometimes forgot that there was a duo twist, so I wouldn't talk to him during tribal periods, and then I would realize right at the end of tribal, and I would jump right to his DMs. I'd be like, by the way, this and this and this are happening. Sorry, it's really chaotic tribal, even though the tribal would be really monotonous. Oh, but blah, 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 and that's why I couldn't text you and update you. And you'd just be like, okay. And that was me and Alex. I got a reputation for gaslighting because I would kind of fuck with Alex all the time on VC. And yeah, one of my main, one of the big things that happened on Brooklyn was the Fur Zappy Alliance. And that kind of helped me, out in the game because I would end up with Izzy at tribals and stuff like that, and Ava at tribals, and I remember Peanut, but then it was ultimately my undoing when I was aligned with Ava and Peanut on one of the swap tribes, and I was spreading Malachi's name, and Malachi and Saggy and Jack were able to use that as ammunition to get at me, as well as trying to weaken Ava. And yeah, that's a recap. Very chaotic and messy, though. So yeah. Ava can go now. I don't know.
Slay. Yeah, so Ryssi and I have a very similar start. We obviously both started on OG Brooklyn. I think the two people you left out were Sushi, and I am so sorry to the other person that I literally cannot remember. I'm sure somebody will tell us who we're missing in the chat. But yeah, I found myself closely aligned with Ryssi and Zap. Our first tribe did not go to tribal, I don't think. And then our first swap, by the Villain Viver gods, the three of us swapped together on that first new tribe, which ended up going well for us. My game started off really well. I was super social. I felt really good with everyone except for my own duo. I think I might be one of the only people from our season who just my duo and I did not really connect on any levels. It was mainly just like an unspoken like, okay, yeah, we're tethered together, so I can't really get rid of you, and we'll help each other where we can. But it wasn't anything compared to like Zap and Izzy at all. So that was like the beginning of my game. My downfall was accidentally lining up my orgs to all start within the same week span of each other. So I got very swamped. So my social game definitely took a hit because of that. And then my biggest downfall was getting into a little showmance with Jack, who ended up blindsiding me and Pina at Ryssie's tribal, leaving us out of the vote. So then he was someone that went from the top of my trust list all the way to the bottom. And then I got taken out on the Greed tribal at Final 17, where Lisa took Greed, and then it was supposed to be me, Lisa, Disc, and then Gold. They thought they had Golden Ginger to vote out either Izzy or Elle, which I wasn't really too fond of that idea because I did have that pre-existing relationship with Zap, so I didn't want to take out Izzy and put that target on my back for Zap, because at that point Zap already had the narrative that like she was on top of the game. And then Elle, who I was, oh, that's literally who we're forgetting on our OG tribe. Oh my god, that's terrible. Elle, I love you. Elle, I had a good relationship with him as well. So ultimately the two sides couldn't really decide on who to target. And so due to my lack of social game, that ended up being the tribal I got voted out on, which ironically Elle played an idol for himself, thinking that he was the vote, but it was actually, I think, an 8-1 vote, and I was the only person who voted for Elle. So that's my season 8 game, super condensed version. Yeah.
I can't believe we forgot Elle.
No, I know that's terrible.
You could say that's a major L. But
Good one.
thank you. Yeah, that was I mean, y'all speed ran that, which is totally fine. I did say you could be as brief as you wanted to, but I think that it was like like a good overview. You guys thoroughly explained your games. So yeah, I'd say that, you know, the public perception really lines up with like y'all's perception of your games. So yeah. The next question is, what did you think of all the twists of the season? Let me know if you need reminders of what they were. I know it's been a while. And also, like, what did you think about the safari, particularly Ryssi? I know that you got a special friendship idol that you never got to use from the safari. So if you want to talk about that.
Okay, well, I think honestly the twists this time around, and like as I'm not like complaining, like the twists are really fun. I think it just interrupted my personal game because my personal game isn't very adaptive to like tons and tons of swaps and that kind of thing. I feel like I can get like stable footing for like if there's like swaps 1, 2, or even 3 times a season, but swapping every time and meeting new people and not being able to forge relationships outside of going to tribal is kind of what did me in, because that's a lot of like my social game, and like being able to talk to people when we're not at a tribal period I feel like is part of like how I can form things, and I think that's why I was able to get closer with Zap and Ava than with like other people who I only met through going to tribal. But yeah, that kind of messed me up, but like that's part of the game and I wasn't able to adapt, and I need to kind of figure out how to modify my going into games and being able to adapt to different zany twists. Besides that, I loved the safari. The safari was super cute. After reading the book, I was like, oh my god, look at all of these references.
Aww.
I loved it so much, and actually Elle helped me out a ton with the safari because he was like, he came into the game and like we were talking about it and he was like, oh yeah, this is my first time doing a safari, and I was like, me too. And he was like, yeah, my first time doing a safari. I want to be like kind of strategic with it, like work with people to get stuff. And he told me about either what was it? He told me about either an apple or a homeless man or something, and that was what got me either. Oh no, I got the apple at what's his name's house, and then Elle was like, I was like, Elle, like since we're trying to be strategic with the safari, do you know anything about like what I can do with an apple? And he was like, yes, I totally do. And so he was like, you should go this direction, and this direction, and you'll meet this homeless man, and it'll prompt you to give him an apple, and you can do that. And so I did, and I don't remember. I told some like bizarre like lie about it to Elle. I think I was like, oh, it was already taken or something. I don't know if you really believed me or not. I didn't take a close look at his confessional post-season or post my vote out, but that's what I told to him. And then I had my friendship idol, which I think I told a couple of people. I think I told Ava and I told Zap, and I knew Zap was going to tell Izzy, so I think I told Izzy. I'm not positive, but I think those are the three people I told, and I don't think I ever told Alex because I don't really remember my reasoning. I guess I just never really got a chance to. Oh, there was like something where I thought I might be having to cut off Alex soon. I don't have a good memory about that, but I remember writing about it in my confessional.
Okay.
Twist for me, I totally agree with Ryssi. I am such a ride or die for my OG tribe type of survivor player. So going from having like such a well established relationship with 3 members of OG Brooklyn to then I got 1 extended week with Ryssi and Zap, which was so good. But then I literally did not swap with Zap or Ryssi until Ryssie's vote out, and then until the tribal where I went home on Greed with Zap. That was my first time re-swapping with her. So that definitely for me was super hard to navigate because I'm the type of person who will like really try to drive home a personal relationship and try to gain loyalty that way over leveraging game talk or stuff like that. So I think that really tested my social game. And as we all know, it did not work out the best for me, but that's okay. The safari, I like realized, I think 3 tribals in that I was not keeping track of where I had been, like what I had found. And I was like, well, somebody needs information out there. So I'll just be the person who will go wherever somebody wants, find stuff for them, and kind of just be, I guess, essentially a number in the safari, right? So I remember talking to Peanut and he was like, oh, I haven't been there yet. Like, if you can go over there and just like snoop it out. So I wasn't on this hunt of like, oh, here's a number 4 on this picture of the graveyard. Here's this. I was just kind of like, okay, like, you want me to go to Mateo's house? Like, I'll go. Tell me how to get the key. Or like, you need me to go to the club? I'll go to the club. So Safari definitely was not my strong suit. The only information that I was being fed from a Safari was originally from Ryssi and Elle. So Safari was not great. I feel like the twists for me weren't my downfall essentially, but I just did not adapt to them very well. And then the last twist, I guess, would be duos. And again, like I said in the beginning, Peanut and I just did not really click on any type of level. So I was very, I guess, timid to share information that I did have with him because, again, he wasn't giving me much information to go off of either. So I didn't want information that my close allies had told me to get back to people they didn't want to find out because I told my duo just because they were my duo. But I think, yeah, my timing on my personal part, I think, was the biggest downfall. I think I would have been able to manage a few more swaps before the merge, but unfortunately I had a little Jack Hoff that I was dealing with that did not really bode well for my game.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're good. I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, I thought someone else was saying something. So yeah, so first, Ryssi, I think it's so sweet that like you so did you like start reading the book for this season or?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I also have the sequel somewhere around here, but I never got to it.
Oh my god, that's such dedication.
But like I don't remember. I think I was like, I might have been in a game night thing, and you were like, you should apply for the next season. I was like, ooh, okay. And you were like, what do you think it's gonna be? And I was like, I have no clue. And then when I found out, I went out and I bought the book and I started like reading it, and I was like, oh, this is really good. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. It was a really cute
So
book.
cute. I love that. And I really love that like people were able, because I poured so much into that safari. Like at some point I like wanted, huh? Oh, sorry. I heard feedback. At some point I wanted to like give up because I'm like, I'm the only one who's gonna like notice all this like little shit. Like it's like not even worth it. So to hear like that kind of feedback like really means a lot, to hear that other people did notice the small like things that were thrown in there for people who were familiar with the book. But just regarding the safari, Ava, that's interesting. I a lot of people actually have the same approach that you did, where it's like just help other people out with the safari. And I think that's why a select like 3 people, like Alec, or 4 people, including Ryssi, yeah, like Ryssi, Alex, L, and Zap, um, had like monopolized the advantages from the season. And it's because everyone else was like, I think, intimidated by the safari. I don't know. Like, and like just helped everyone else. Like, here's something no one knows. Shaggy, literally, every time he would get an item, he would just send it to Izzy. Every single item he got.
Oh, that's so interesting.
He would send it to Izzy. Every item.
Dang.
Even at a point where he was like, I shouldn't be doing this, he continued to do it.
Damn.
Yeah, I realized once I got to the Hudson, because I think that was one of the major hubs of there were so many places to go from there, that once I was stuck there and I was like, oh, like there's no way for me to recount my steps if I was not keeping track of them myself. I'm like, girl, there's no coming back from this one. You're like 4 trips to the safari deep and you have little to no information. Like, let me just try to leverage this to my allies and be like, hey, if you need me to go somewhere to like snoop something out for you, I will be that person. And I think that did gain me some trust with people, but like definitely didn't really give me anything. It literally didn't give me anything.
So Ava, you were not keeping a map then, correct?
Oh no, like once I started helping people, I like have my little spreadsheet of where I had been, but the first like 3, because the safaris that I have done, like, and I applaud you so much for this, Ashley, were nowhere near as big as this one. Like our safari was ginormous and there were so many things, especially getting the key to the apartment, the selfie to get into the club, like the ticket for the other thing. It wasn't the most like you had to work to explore everything. So once I realized that really information was key to kind of navigate that, I was like, again, like let me just be an informant and use that to my advantage rather than playing this little bit selfish and keeping my cards close to my chest and trying to find something for me, because I just didn't see that happening at that point.
And
people are keeping maps.
Sorry, go ahead.
Who is keeping a map? Damn.
Oh, every time I play a safari, I definitely keep a map. I definitely keep a map.
That's hardcore. I just
and I keep a map with my allies so we can both contribute to it.
That's insane. I just kind of remember.
Oh,
well, not remember. I just do everything I do all of my interactions within the span of like 30 minutes, and then I like just like try if I've been to an area, I just don't go back.
Yeah,
And, like,
I don't know if anybody ever clocked me for this, but I literally went to, I think, the West Hudson 2 episodes in a row. I left it and went to a different direction, and then when I got back to the main Hudson, I went back to the West twice. And that's when I was like, oh, this is not for me. This is not for me. I need to help somebody else out. Like, so yeah, I definitely did not get off on the strongest foot for the safari, but you know, it's all good.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. Did you guys pick up on the story element that was going on within the safari at all?
I thought I didn't. I was like I read some of it and I was like, oh, there's like a mini story going on here, and I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm gonna get to enough channels to like figure out what it is, so I just gave up.
Yeah, I remember reading like a synopsis on Spark Notes about the book, and I was like, maybe this will help me. But like Ricey said, there were so many like other little things intertwined that I just looked at it as face value of like right, left, up, and down, and rather than like the bigger picture.
You're exactly saying like apparently people you said, I remember you said once you could like circle things in like banners that were in the Safari to get advantages. I wasn't doing that. I was doing like commands and crap.
Same.
Well,
Yeah,
because
same.
most safaris don't do that, from my understanding. Most safaris, they don't utilize the pictures, they don't utilize banners, they don't utilize text. Like they go like they're like, once you unlock this part, you get an advantage. Like we made this hardcore.
Well, no, I'm kind of embarrassed. Yeah, because like I hide stuff in like images all the time, and I just did not even take the time to check. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Ava.
Oh no, you're good. I was also gonna say the other two so far, or I've done 3 other ones, but 2 of the other ones that I have done had like comps in them too. So instead of having to go find the key, for example, it would be like, oh, here's this like puzzle or an app game or something, and once you complete that comp and send it in your DR or whatever, then we'll give you access to the other one. So I think having to go truly travel this extensive map to find everything to unlock it was just a whole other level of like dedication that people had to have to really dig deep and find these advantages. And I think it paid off for the people who put that time and effort in.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I do this is the last thing, and I'll say, just because I've never gotten the chance to like really talk about the safari, and that was kind of like my baby. And I know that this is your interview, not mine. But like as far as like the story element goes, this is just something that means a lot to me, because I did spend so much time on it, and like writing is like a passion of mine. But like the like story that was within the safari, and I know that Specs didn't get to like see this obviously, but and if any Specs do want access to the Safari server, like just ask and we can invite you. But it was essentially that you're navigating the Safari, and you had gotten a call from Deathcast letting you know that you were going to die that day. And Mateo, one of the main characters from the book, was an old childhood friend, and you kind of had been living a pretty shitty life, to be honest, and you had no friends, and like it was just like really miserable. You didn't talk to your family, but you didn't want to die alone. And you had learned that Mateo had also gotten a call from Deathcast, so you thought it would be nice to spend your last day together and reconnect. So you are traveling the safari trying to find Mateo, and along the way you experience all of these different things around New York City that you go from like someone who was like a hardcore like pessimist, and you really learn to appreciate the beauty that is life, and you turn into like this optimist almost, who is kind of accepting of the fact that you're going to die, because you realize that you can live life within an entire life within one day, and that it's okay, and things like that. And there are a lot of like parts of the safari where the writing is really deep and introspective, and it was kind of sad and stuff at parts too. So there was one command too, I forget which one it is, but it was It might have been the safety. It was the safety command that it was the one with all the italicized letters or underlined letters, and it was the one that Alex found, Alex's idol, and that was like the secret to or that was the ending to the mystery, like how you found Mateo, and that was because you would find the letters, like a letter in each, after going through every single part of the safari. And once you found it, it was Rufus, the other main character in the book, telling you that Mateo had died already, but that he knew that you were looking for him, and that he wanted you to have protection on your last day. So that was the story of the safari. Anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to get a chance to explain that because that was something that was really important to me. So
And you ate that up, Ashley.
thank you so much. Thank you. Moving on to the next question. I know that you all kind of talked a little bit about this already, so feel free to just expand upon what you previously said. But do you feel like your duo was a good fit? And how did having a duo impact? I know, Ava. And how did having a duo impact your play style? Do you feel like it hindered you? Do you think it helped you? How do you think you would have played differently had you not had a duo? And follow-up question. Do you think you would have worked with your duo if you weren't a duo?
Do you want to go or you want me to go?
You go. I always go first. I feel bad.
Okay. Yeah, no, nothing new here about my duo. I don't know if Pina and I would have worked together if we were not a duo. I think having like immediate forced loyalty kind of can either make or break a relationship, because for some people it can feel like an obligation, or for other duos it felt like I don't know, have a better word for it, but like you wanted to do better for the both of you. And unfortunately, Peanut and I never really got on the same page. Would I have protected him? Yeah. Was I going to really stick my neck out for him and make sure he was safe at all cost? Probably not. I remember in my exit interview, I was asked like this same question. I was like, at first I was like, yeah, I get why we were paired up. And then I immediately was like, actually, no, I don't. Just because people on like Peanut's OG tribe and like who he had swapped with had just told me like, oh, he's like pretty reserved. He's not like super out there socially. And that's the opposite how I try to lead my game. So I definitely think there was never conflict with us, but it was hard to constantly be on the same page. And I never felt like, oh, Zap just told me this, that Izzy told her, like, let me go and like immediately tell Peanut about it. I definitely found my loyalties elsewhere, but I did feel like that was a little bit one-sided, because I do think Peanut probably had a little bit more trust in me and desire to work for the both of us than I did. So I did feel like a little bit bad about that, but ultimately I don't think my duo really propelled my game or held me back at all. I think it was just like, yep, Ava and Peanut are a duo. I think the only time it hindered my game was when we went to tribal with Ryssi and people pinned us as a trio, which was really not true. Peanut was just attached to me and I was loyal to Ryssi. So yeah, that may have been the only instance in game that came back to bite me.
So me and Alex, I actually really liked Alex, by the way. Hi, Alex. And I think would we have worked together is a definite yes, because I kind of got to know him through a voice chat, and I think even if we weren't duo, we probably still would have both been on there. We still would have gotten to talking, and I really liked Alex, especially from that. More so than when we were just texting, and I think I would have just been like, I really like this guy, I should work with this guy. And yeah, I do think Actually, I'm not really sure if being in a duo with Alex super affected my game. It did make it a bit harder to maneuver and like make different deals and alliances and that kind of thing. Because right off the bat, you had to be paired up with someone who you like pretty much had to be loyal to, because everybody else was going to be loyal. Besides, if they were an inactive or not, and if you were dealing with an inactive player, then you could kind of like cut them off without anybody being mad at you on the other side or anything like that. Sorry, I think that's like kind of a game changer, but I don't think it went like I don't think it changed me up too much or threw me for that much of a loop. And I think I definitely think there was way more that I should have been doing with it to kind of adapt my game to the duos twist. Like we could have had like different alliances going, like kind of cross tribe. Like I was in an alliance with like Ava and Zap. We probably could have like found a way to do like some kind of cross tribe thing, since Alex said that he really liked Izzy. And I probably think we probably could have done way more with that, kind of like set up like a duos alliance there, cross tribe right from the start. But I feel like it kind of the duos twist did kind of throw everyone for a loop, and yeah, I don't think it changed my game an insane amount, but as much as like the instant like swap twist did. But yeah.
I'm actually going to, on this subject, pull back the curtain a second and talk about the casting process for a moment. So we originally put together the 24-person cast and then began pairing the duos after the people in the cast are already there. And after Zap and Izzy, the second pair that we made was Ryssi and Alex. Was like one of the easiest pairs for us to make. We just looking over the way you and Alex interacted, like the way we thought you would interact based on some of the things you said in your app, that you were one of the fastest pairs that we made. Ava and Peanut were about halfway down the list. They both talked about things like wanting to have, a lot of loyalty and trust in their duo, and about like wanting someone they could really like break things down and scheme with and stuff like that. So we saw some resemblance there in their mindsets and approaches to the game. Ryssi and Alex was very much one of the first pairs that we made during the pairing process.
It's true. It's very true. So yeah, I think Elk kind of stole what I was gonna say, actually, but that is okay. So I will move on to the next question, which is more of a Ricey question. And that is, you are someone who would absolutely be considered a villain. Is that how you intended to play? And did you feel pressure to play that way, being in an org called Villain Viver?
I didn't feel pressured. I actually kind of disagree with that assessment. I actually feel like I was like too loyal in the game, especially to like people I really liked, like Ava and Zap, and I feel like that was like partially what like did me in. I guess I was kind of villainous in like the way where I would like pounce at different moments to try and take people out, and like especially with the Malachi vote, like that really got me, because I was kind of like scrambling there. I like wasn't really sure what was happening. Honestly, I played the whole vote very messy. But besides that, like I feel like a lot of like my like villainous behavior was more of just like me joking around rather than me pulling off like any actual villainous moves, which I probably should have been doing if I'm being honest, because everybody else was playing very villainously. But yeah, I think if I really was playing like very villainously, I would have like been able to cut ties with Ava at the vote where I was like being taken out to weaken a trio. And that probably could have saved me, and we could have maybe taken out Peanut or something. but also I was like already under the bus because of the things that I had said about Saggy, which I guess can also be kind of villainously, but I was just like, I don't know, I was just like stressed and upset, and I was like, why is Saggy just like shitting on us in the public challenge channel? This is BS. And yeah. So yeah, I don't think I did behave that villainously, but anything I did was kind of just like honestly as a joke to like fit in with the theme. The rest of it was just kind of regular like gameplay, I think.
Okay.
I feel like I also kind of missed the question. I can't really remember what it was, but yeah.
No, I feel like you answered it correctly. You also kind of like lied about things sometimes, though. I think that also was whenever you were just joking around, so that makes sense. Since I gave you a personal question, let me give Ava a personal question that's like off the top of my head. Ava,
Lay it on me.
I have to ask about Java. I have to. So,
I'd expect nothing less.
Oh,
wait, what?
I couldn't figure out what Java was. I was like the software, and I was like, oh, Jack Ava.
Oh, should I pronounce it Java? I feel like it makes more sense if we pronounce Java.
I think we have some like AVAC defenders in the call too.
Oh my god. So, I don't even like have a question, just like run us through that roller coaster of a relationship.
Yeah, I would be so happy to. I'm glad he's not in the audience anymore because I don't want to fight about this later. But yeah, so basically, I want to say maybe it was final 20, final 19. Oh my god, I don't even know. Jack and I swapped onto the same tribe for the first time, and we like stayed up pretty late just chatting about like not even game related stuff. And I was like, oh, like this guy's kind of cool. And I'm pretty sure the first day I got access to my confessional, I was like, time to find the cute straight boys, like let's go, like let's get into my romance era. And so that's just something that works well for me most of the time. We will come to find out not really in this instance, but yeah, we ended up hitting it off really well. We were exchanging, some flirtatious texts, and then he hits me with the infamous terrorist pickup line. So that was like a little strange. I was like, oh, like, is he joking? Is he being for real? And I was like, you know what, like, let's just go with it. Maybe this will pan out well for us. It doesn't hurt to have like a simp in your pocket at this point in the game. So we were just like flirting back and forth. And oh my god, this was literally the tribal that Ryssi went out on. So the day of tribal comes, and I was just talking to him like, what do you think the vote is? I think people are thinking Malachi, because that was my perception at the time. He seemed to be like pretty on the bottom socially. So I threw out that name. Little did I know Jack was spearheading the vote for Ryssi to go and was planning the whole time to leave me and my duo Peanut out of it. But I had no idea. I thought like we had the votes for Malachi locked. I wasn't really campaigning super hard. It just seemed like everybody was on the same page. And so then the votes were revealed. And the way they were revealed was like Ryssi, Malachi. And I was like, why the heck is Ryssi getting votes? Like, hello? And I literally went into my DMs with Jack and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, did you know about this? Like, that is weird behavior for you to just leave me out of the vote like this. And so then obviously the rest of the votes get read, and it was, I think, a 7-3 vote. Me, Peanut, and Ryssi being the only votes to evict Malachi. So at that point, I'm the type of player who, we didn't get to see it much this season, but if you burn me, like, you're done. Like, I will not give you a second chance, because when people give people second chances, it normally does not bode well for them. So I was like, you know what, Jack, like, you have fun. This, whatever, like, allyship, flirtationship, like, done. We're done. And so we didn't swap together the next round, and then the round after, 2 votes after Rysie's vote, we ended up swapping together. And he was like so persistent. He was messaging me like 3-4 times a day, like, hey, how are you? Like, that was the puzzle competition that I did, and he was like, oh, you did so good on the comps. And we ended up going to tribal, and so I was like, okay, well, now I'm vulnerable, so like, let me go ahead and like approach this man with like my tail behind my legs, or between my legs. And so I was like, listen, like, let's just like move past that. Just like, all I ask is don't leave me out of the vote, even if it is like one of my allies. I really don't mind cutting people. It's the name of the game. So like, just let me know. Because at that point, my loyalties that I did have to Zap was almost non-existent, because I hadn't swapped with her in so long. Elle I hadn't swapped with. Peanut wasn't on my tribe. Ryssi had just gotten voted out. So I had just taken like hit after hit after hit with my allies. So I was like, I need to cling on to someone. And so he was like, yeah, I got you. Wait, I think I'm getting this so confused. Okay, so Jack and I did swap together on the puzzle comp. We went to tribal. I still did not talk to him. We voted someone out. And then it was the fake merge. And Lisa took greed. I was like, Jack, do not leave me on this vote. I swear to God, like, I will kill you. And then the whole plan kind of went to shambles of voting out Izzy and Elle because of Lisa being absent. So we didn't know if we would have the numbers. Disc was like throwing me under the bus to Izzy and Elle. I still don't really understand why. And by the time that Izzy, Elle, and I kind of got on the same page of like, I think they're just using me as a number. I really do not want to vote you all out, because obviously I had a close allyship with Elle. Izzy I knew was attached to Zap, which is someone who I knew would probably have my back moving forward. And so, but by the time that happened, it was a little too late. And so, Jack ended up voting me out, which was the only thing I ended up asking him to before tribal. I was like, just don't write my name down. Like, that's all I ask. And then he did, and he, on his parchment, said, let's chill after the game.
Iconic part.
So
To be honest.
it was a pretty iconic parchment, and I went, I think 8-1 or 7-1, and then he got voted out very shortly after, and now we are dating ? No label together. So definitely a very interesting showmance arc that I really never had any showmance similar to that. But yeah, he was very much a detriment to my game in way more ways than one. But I mean, now it's like, I don't even care. But next time we play together, trust and believe, if we do play together again, I will be writing his fucking name on a parchment. Trust and believe, because I will get even. So that is Jack and I's little showmance, all tied up nicely in a bow.
And then we told everybody that you guys lived together.
Oh yeah. So when he got voted out, we started like trolling everyone and like voice calls and stuff that like we were actually together, which at that point we weren't. And then that it was like, okay, we are. So we were lying, but now we're not. So, but yeah, I mean, Jack is a cool guy. He just, I don't think, had my best interests at heart in game, which is fine. I won't hold it over his head until we play together again.
That is an absolutely wild development. Just like, oh
Yeah.
like, did we gaslight y'all into dating? Like, is that what happened? Like,
Wait, what do you mean?
I feel like, I don't know. I feel like everyone like joked about y'all dating so much that it finally came true.
Yeah, so I don't really like we were actually talking about this like a few nights ago of I don't really know what happened after he got voted out. I think he like slid into my DMs and was like, "I'm so sorry, blah blah." And then I was like, "Were you ever being serious? Like I'm confused." And he was like, "I mean, like I was because I think you're pretty, but also like I wasn't." And I was like, "Okay." And then I realized he had never watched the challenge before, and I was like, "Oh, like you should watch the challenge." And he was like, "We should watch the challenge together." And so then we like for a month and a half straight, we're like voice calling for hours, and then we were like, "Oh shit, like not the feelings. This is weird." So, yeah, it like all happened like very oddly, but also organically. So, I don't know. He's great. So, um yeah, that's Jack. And it's so funny after we got all access perms to see that in both of our DRs, the same screenshots of messages were sent of like, this guy is actually crazy. And then he was like, I will not give up on this girl. So it was definitely definitely very interesting in game for sure. And out of game. Like, who am I kidding?
Oh, I have to ask, what was going through your head whenever you said BFFR and he said, does that mean best friends? Ever?
Okay. So I in game could never get an accurate read on this man. I was like, I don't know if you're kidding. I don't know if you're being for real. Like, you're telling me you're being legit, but you're also telling me you're joking. So I don't know. And I like in my gut knew that he was like being sarcastic, but I also was like, this guy is kind of dumb, so he may not really know that that means be fucking for real. So, but at that point, like my loyalties had shut down. I'm like, you left me out of the vote on purpose, voted out someone you knew was my ally. Bye. Like goodbye. You are no longer an asset to me or my game. So like adios, amigo.
No, because it's so funny because Jack is like so smart. He's a genius and he plays
Yeah.
the dumb boy so well.
Yeah.
He plays it he's like amazing at that character. Like, but he is fucking so smart. Like amazing
Yeah.
strategist. Like,
It is. Yeah. He like we would call after the game and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, like this was going on and this and that." And I'm like, I was so shocked. I was like, he was getting good information from people because of that persona that he was playing up right of this character of like, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna be here to be funny. And that also is like a very good game tactic to just get people to want to bring you in. So yeah, but I think at the end of the day, his character is what kind of was his downfall as well. So it's just a fine line that I don't think he really. I think he got a little lost in it, which is what I ended up thinking.
yeah.
But that's Java. That's
Amazing. Thank you so much for recounting y'all are like one of the best showmances of Villain Viber history. So thank you.
thank you for casting both of us.
Um, yeah. So moving on. This is a question for both of you. So what was your strategy coming into the game? And can you compare and contrast it with how you actually played?
Good question, Ashley.
Thank you. It's one.
Take the floor, Ryssi. I feel like I just talked for like 10 minutes
Oh my
about
god,
my
I'm
boyfriend.
unprepared though. I don't remember my strategy coming in. I don't usually have like a very like hyper specific strategy for like different things I'm gonna do, but usually my strategy revolves around creating like really powerful like social bonds early on and then kind of coasting through the game with those. And then I can kind of like lay back and not overplay until like I need to. I mean, usually when I start doing something like that, it's like I like start like doing a bit like extra plays, like a few votes before I need to. In uni specifically, I think has seen this kind of game I've played before, where like I'll build like powerful social bonds earlier. I can like make it through swaps. I can be like a tad cutthroat, but still like stick with people. And after being cutthroat, I can be like, well, actually, we should work together. But like another big like factor to my strategy is mutual beneficial like strats, because like I don't like play into like big like mist type deals. It's more along the lines, because I feel like you can't ever assume. So there are like two things that I like say sometimes, where it's like you can't ever assume that people like, you have to like kind of assume that people will always do what's in their best interest, but then also know that they'll sometimes just like not. Like they'll like try and play, and they'll like try and play up like, oh, I'm a good survivor player, so I'm gonna do this move, and so I'm gonna be like, okay, you can take credit for that move, but working together is gonna move us both far, and this and this and this is why. And I feel like I didn't get a chance to do that because like of like the randomized swaps. I couldn't be like, okay, this is what's going to carry us forward. This is what's going to be this is what's going to be mutually beneficial to us. And I like kind of tried to do that with like the friendship idolize, like, oh, this can be like kind of perfect for me because of like the way I can kind of usually play, but then like told people, and I just completely played that like completely wrong, and it was just like, okay, in like consensus, this game did not match up to the way I usually play, like very much at all. Besides, like, I mean, I didn't like even play that much. I got out after 4 boots, but you can kind of see semblances of that in like the way that I tried to play. But then when you like see the way that I was actually able to do it, it was like very chaotic. I wasn't able to handle the swaps very well or the twists very well. It just like didn't end up like culminating in like a very good gameplay at all.
Don't undersell yourself. I think for you had a big impact.
Yeah.
Even though your time was not like yeah. I think for me, I remember when I saw the ad posted, it was like very twist heavy, like yada yada yada, and then it even like emphasized that in the apps in the interview. I was like, oh hell yeah, like give it to me, I love it. Just because I normally do try to be like a very adaptable player, and I said this in my confessional or somewhere right after I got voted out, or like 2 or 3 days later, I went back and read my confessionals, and I was like, oh my, I was so boring this season. Like I could not believe myself. I was like, I was really giving nothing in my confessionals, which was very unlike me, because going in, I was like, I do love playing a good villain game. Like I am like very known in playing my games of like, you could be my number one ally today, but if I know that bringing you any farther will hinder my chances at winning, like you can go home. Like I'll idle you. The Survivor season I played right before our season, I had won 9 immunities total. I'd idled 3 people out. Like I was like on a roll, and I was so ready to come into this game and like play this like big flashy villain game. And then all of a sudden you guys were like, nope, y'all are swapping consistently. And I just think that like really threw off like my perception of the game a little bit. Of like Ryssi said, I'm a very big person who like will establish my relationships early, and kind of feel everyone out, because I just feel like merge relationships are either very like, oh, I'm just getting to know you because you're a number, or I'm getting to know you because I don't have anybody else. And I never like to set myself up in those situations to be either of those, be in either of those situations. So really quickly I realized I was going to have to play a very different game than I originally anticipated. And so once I realized like my social activity was going down, I did end up being like one of the least games. I hate being that person. It's like, oh, I'll like latch on to anybody, take me at this point. But it's called Survivor for a reason. I'm not like, I'm just trying to survive at that point, and that's not a game I like to play, and it's not a game I play very well because I don't play that position often. And so, yeah, I think ultimately I didn't have my normal social game to rely on that I normally do. And so, not even making it to individual immunity and having to rely on other people for wins was like so annoying and aggravating during all the duo challenges, which I think were only like 2 or 3. After every challenge, I was in my confessional like, oh my god, peanut this, peanut that. Like, I just felt like I just don't like my fate being in other people's hands, and I think that's let the defeat sink in. So it was definitely a very different game that I have played than even not even only in Survivor, but like my Big Brother and Challenge games that I've played. Um, I just don't do well when my back is against the wall. I try to position myself as best as possible early on to then propel me to merge. This is only my second pre-merge build ever, so it was definitely an eye-opening game. But I think that afterwards, it's like, okay, well, like here's what you did wrong, and here's what we can do going into the future season. So there are definitely pros and cons, I think. But yeah, definitely did not play the game I was anticipating playing. So you live and you learn.
So it sounds like you both didn't quite get to play the games that you totally wanted to, which is disappointing. But I think that goes to show just how much like you can't exactly plan for these games.
Yeah.
You know, like there's just not that level of coordination that can go in. Like there's just too many variables that you can't account for. So
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm. So with that being said, let's move on to the next question, which is, do you consider yourself a social player, a strategic player, or a physical player? Can you talk about how you played to each of these during your time in the game?
Me just saying I didn't play any of those. The question before.
I know,
Oh no,
I
I'm
know,
so
I know,
dumb.
I know.
Thoughts? Thoughts,
Oh,
Ryssi?
about your game?
No. Are you sure? If you have any read on my game, feel free to pitch in.
I
No,
think
on
you're
yours.
definitely a social player, and I remember at one point we had a conversation where it was we were talking. We were like, "Oh my gosh, Ava, you have like a collection. You have like a bunch of these like you have a bunch of these players like simping for you. Like they're all like coming after you. You have Jack, you have Peanut, and I was like, you have me, and I was like kind of missed, but like it didn't work. I don't know. I was like, yeah, you have like a big alliance, and I was like really hyping you up, and I like started hyping you up to other players also, and I was like, yeah, we might have to worry about Ava eventually. And I think I might have said that, or maybe Alex said that to me, and I was like, yeah. But you were definitely a very good social player, so don't sell yourself short. Because like I really wanted to work with you, and it actually like ended my game.
Yeah.
And
I'm so sorry.
no, it's like no, like that's like a compliment to you. People like when people were going around like, oh, we should get out Rice. He was like, here are the reasons why he's an easy target, and here's why he's a threat because we want to weaken Ava.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's like really impressive. Like they weren't even targeting you straight up; they had to like go through a shield to get to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really impressive. Physical, I don't remember because I like suck at challenges, so I don't really pay attention to them. And strategic, I don't think I can speak much to your strategic game because after the season, like I didn't like go through confessionals because I remember I was like reacting to, like Tiggs, and Tig was like, "Oh yeah, like this guy was making fun of you." And I was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna go through confessionals this season," so I didn't do
Yeah,
any
the
vanity
L
searching
tier.
until right. I didn't do any vanity searching until like right before like votes were gonna be announced. I was like, "Oh, I wonder what if I was referenced in speeches," and so I like went through that, but that was it. What was I talking? I was talking about your game. Yeah, your game was really good, Ava. Don't sell yourself short. Like you didn't get to play the game you wanted, but like you're still a very good player, and I think you were able to show that very well.
So
Thanks. I
sweet.
appreciate that. I know, like I remember being in such denial after your vote because I was just, even like after the season, the VL being like, I still don't understand. I think the perception of my game from everyone else versus my own perception was like so different because, again, my attention was like very torn between these 3 games that I was playing. Of like, one was like essentially a dating game, and then I was playing a game for $700, and I was playing this game that I was so excited to be casted on that I was like, oh my god. So I wasn't playing my normal social game, and I think, which is so crazy that even with a third of my attention, right, that people were like, oh my god, like, let's take a shot at Ryssi because he's aligned with Ava. And I was just like, what? Like, where are y'all getting this like narrative of me being a threat? Like, when there are other people in the game, like, I'm not throwing Zap under the bus, obviously, but, like Zap and Izzy and Elle, who were like playing this like over the top game, and I was just kind of trying to be under the radar for strategy, but also because I knew I couldn't give my 100% into my social game. And so I remember, like, I think it was the day before I got voted out, I finally sent like my chart into my DR, and I was like, okay, let me do like an in-depth trust ranking. And then boom, I got voted out literally the next day as soon as I was like, you know what, fuck those other games, like, let me give this some attention for a few seconds. And so yeah, but thank you. I really appreciate you saying all of that. Like, actually, it means a lot.
Hold on a second. Ava, you said you were playing a dating game, yet you ended up dating someone from this org.
Well,
when
it wasn't
she
like,
said that, I was like, oh, is she talking about Jack? And then I realized she was talking about 3 different orgs.
no, I was playing, it's like the format is basically Love Island format, but you're obviously not like trying to find someone to date. But yeah, so that was one of the other games that I was playing. But yeah, I don't know. I think I do pride myself on having a very good social game. So to know that even at not close to what I think is my best is enough to still put me on the radar for people is so crazy. So I do really appreciate that, and I hope moving forward into future seasons outside of the server, in the server, whatever that may look like, I'm a real threat, and I think I'm a threat, and I know I'm a threat because I love playing from the top and like a total over the top game and like being in everyone's face. And I did not really get the chance to do that this season. But I mean, playing the same every single time doesn't always work out for you. So, you know, it is what it is.
Very true. Okay, wait. So the question was outwit, outplay, outlast. What did you embody?
No.
Oh no, social player, strategic player, physical player.
Yeah, but if y'all want to do outplay, outwit, outlast as well, you can do that. But if you do both of them, the social and the outwit, yeah.
Okay. So my strategic game was not at all hyped this season. It wasn't like, oh wow, Racey's being like really bad like with strategy. It was just like I didn't get a chance to like do anything like cool with strategy. I mean, not that I didn't get the chance. I didn't do anything really cool with strategy, like do anything really cool with like maneuvering through like swaps and stuff. And I even said earlier during the podcast, I was like, oh, we probably should have like set up like some cross tribe alliances. Like I should have been doing that if I wanted to like survive these like huge swaps and like going to tribal with different players. And like I remember once I was like thinking in my confessional, I was like, if we like have these cross tribal things, we could set up an alliance. And this was like on like day 1 or 2, and I was like, we could set up a cross tribe alliance and then just throw the immunity comps, send like 8 duos are going to tribal. If we create like 2-3 person alliances on Alex's tribe and on my tribe, then those duos can go to tribal with the other 2, vote somebody out, keep an under the radar alliance by like finding a random reason to vote somebody out, or take out a big threat and leave an inactive player. So if the tribes do end up going to tribal, we can do something with that and vote out. They'll just be like, oh, we have an extra inactive player, we can just vote them out. And nothing like that ever ended up happening. I don't know, I just never like did anything like really cool with strategy. So I think I kind of flopped on my strategic game this time around. My physical games are always really terrible. I have never won an individual immunity. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words. I have never won an individual immunity necklace ever across any game I have ever played ever. Besides in like a speed where I'm really good at like the geography challenges, but that is absolutely it. I flop at physical challenges. Alex, I'm sorry about that if you ever complained about that. But I never do like really well in like immunity challenges or anything. And I think that was reflected because I think I went to more tribals than the average person. I remember I flopped at the puzzle thing. Every time puzzles come up in orgs, I'm like, maybe I'm not as bad as I think I am, and then I do one, and then I'm like, oh god, I'm awful. And so I like flopped the puzzle comp. I think we still won because there was like a whole like sushi controversy
Yeah.
and saggy controversy and other controversies during that challenge, but I don't speak as to that. I don't know. Physical game kind of flopped. Strategic game kind of flopped. Social game, my social prowess wasn't that great, obviously, because I would be like I'm like on my original tribe, my social was like fine. I don't know what Sean AU thought of me. Apparently, he didn't like me as much as I thought he did. But I remember we VC'd one time during like a game night, and I like got to know him there. And apparently that stuck with him because he said something about it later on. But after that, I kind of thought I was in good with him. But honestly, on that original tribe, he was kind of like inactive. I think he like I remember after like we started swapping, I like got into a swap tribe with him. I was like, wow, he is way more responsive now. But I remember like I didn't talk to him a lot on our original tribe, and yeah. But to summarize, like my social game, it was fine. It wasn't where it needed to be to stay in, and I don't know. I feel like I could have done significantly better because a lot of my social game was like, oh, we swap together a lot. We can work together. We can do this and this together. Or always like, I really like you. We can work together. And the other person was like, yeah. And I made like some good social bonds that I think have like somewhat lasted. But yeah, social game wasn't where I needed it to be. So I don't know. I'm not trying to be like overly like critical of my game, but I just think like each like factor, none of it was where it needed to be in this game, and that's like a large part of the reason why I went when I did.
Okay. Do you guys want to like go over like how you may have? I know that you guys like didn't win, but do you want to talk about like an outplay, outwit, outlast kind of factor of your game?
Oh man, I'm like trying to think of like either of those that I actually did semi-successfully. I think I like I wouldn't I don't know if like outplay, I guess it's the word I'm given, but I have definitely undersold my game a lot, not only in this interview but just like overall. But I do think like if I did have this perceived target from everyone of like, oh, she's a social threat, to like have to take one of my very close allies out before taking a shot at me, and also my tribal that I got out on, I wasn't even a target going into that tribal. I think it was just something that both sides could settle on doing because no one felt super confident with their numbers, that it was like, all right, let's just all pile on Ava and it's like we'll get her out, which is great, and then it's no blood really on anyone else's hands because what was Peanut gonna do to them at that point? So I do think up until that point I was positioned pretty well, so maybe outplay, but like that's a very strong word to describe my pre-boot game, I guess.
Okay. What about you, Ryssi?
God, my mind is blank. Outplay, outlast. Can't really speak to outlast. Every swap I got, I like slowly like my like game got like bumped down a little bit. Outplay. I don't know if I really outplayed anybody. I'm trying to think of who I did vote out. I voted out Joey. That wasn't really on me. I did some of the footwork on that vote, but like not like in a good way where it was like, oh, okay, here, I'll keep you. It was more like, I'll keep you in the loop if you keep me in the loop. It wasn't like, oh, let's keep each other in the loop. We can like work together when we see each other at swap. If we see each other at like a swap or another tribal, like, oh, we can kind of like do this and this. If we like meet up again, like working together on the first tribal, that means a lot to me, and like we can work together again after this. And then they would be like, oh, okay, but like now that happened. What's the last one? Outwit. I'm not very witty. I don't know. I feel like I kind of also. I feel like I always like kind of like group in outplay with outwit because when it comes to outplay, I'm not like good at challenges or anything, so I just kind of like define it the same as like outplay, like, ooh, who did you play throughout the game? But saying that's like, who did you like outwit throughout the game? Who did you play throughout the game? Like, kind of same thing to me. But God, I'm trying to think of the boot order from before I left.
I mean, if you
I remember.
go ahead.
Sorry, what?
I was gonna say if you can't, it's okay. But
I literally am like my mind is blank. I just I voted out Joey Malik. I did the footwork on that. Oh, I hardcore campaigned against Vic Mothgod because he didn't talk to me at all, and everybody was kind of like, "Oh, he talks to me." And I was like, "Okay, I'm not gonna just like be the first one to send a message as soon as we get a tribal." I feel like that's a like really really bad look for me. If Mothgod wants to work together, he can message me, but until then, I'm voting for him. He messaged me like a few hours before the vote, and I was just like, "This isn't happening." I don't remember if I even gave him a decoy name, but I guess I kind of outplayed him. And then at my boot, I actually thought we did have the jump on Malachi, but when I did go like person to person, I was like, I don't know, Ava's saying Malachi, but like Ava's in a good position right now, so we might have to like consider that. Maybe not this vote, but maybe like next vote or something. Because I was trying to like leave options for them to like be like, oh, I don't really want Malachi this vote, but nobody actually like told me, and like most of the gameplay of that vote was done right behind my back, and I just like couldn't get my foot in the door, and yeah, that's how I flopped that category. But yeah, God, now I'm talking about it and I'm being like really overcritical. I don't think my gameplay was like that bad. I think like it wasn't where I needed to be, but like I don't think it was like terrible by any means.
yeah, I mean, I think that you're both really solid players who just got fucked over by circumstance, you know? Like, this was honestly a powerhouse of a cast. Like, by far the best cast we've ever had. I said it, like, the best cast, like, entertainment-wise, the best cast skill-wise, too, I think. I do. Like, season 3 definitely gave like, I'd say season 3 and y'all are definitely fighting for it. But like y'all killed it, and so it's like, yeah, you guys are very very good, and you should be proud of the games that you played.
Thank you, mother.
So I guess this is like a little bit less about your games, but did you stick around to spec the rest of the season, and if so, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I actually this is probably one of the only games that like once I get out on, I don't immediately leave the server in bitterness. But also hi Jen and Shay, I love you guys so much. But Yeah, I just remember every time that I came into this server to check tree mail, it was like, yet again, Zap has won individual immunity. And my jaw would hit the floor every single time. I was like, this girl just, they can't get rid of her. They cannot get rid of her. And that's the type of game that I try to play and I like to play. So seeing one of my closest allies being able to protect herself, and again, I don't like relying on other people necessarily. So that was like so awesome to watch. Zap just kind of like absolutely demolished the physical game. Like point blank, no one was even close to her because she won every single merge immunity. So like that in itself is unheard of. But the gameplay was crazy. I remember watching Tribal and I just like truly never knew what was going to happen. Like going to Rocks and Sean getting out, like the gold vote off, the final 5 Tribal, like everything would just like have me on the edge of my seat. And I think everyone truly was just like you said it so well, everyone on this cast is playing like at their best. And so it was just so fun to watch. And like Izzy and Zap as like a power duo was just crushing every aspect of this game, was so awesome. And then people that we had wrote off early, like Malachi and Sean, getting so far and seeing them like really hold their own and not being floaters like what we thought they originally were, which is super cool character and player development. So I really enjoyed specking the season after I got voted out. And if I ever come back and play, I hope nobody else on our cast is playing with me because I don't want to have to go up against them. No, ma'am.
I didn't spec everything very closely. I would like jump between like channels of like people who I was like friends with, and I would be like, "Oop, time to drop a bunch of emojis in the confessional." And I don't know. I thought I did that apparently more than I actually did because I said something about it to Ginger. Because Ginger was like, "Oh yeah," when Sean got rocked out, and I was like, "Oh yeah." I didn't even realize Sean got rocked out until like the finale, and he was like, that was one of the biggest moments of the season. And I was like, wow, I guess I spec'd a lot less than I thought I did. And he was like, I was like, I jumped between confessionals and like left some emojis for like, I think I did it for like Zap and like, I don't know, maybe Sean, Tig, Alex, I don't know. But and Ginger was like, why didn't you do it for me? And I was like, wait, I thought I did, and apparently I just didn't. But I remember I like would like pop around the server and I would talk a little bit and I would like join voice chats that were happening and I would like kind of get updates from that every once in a while. But I don't know. I remember I was like really I remember one time I popped into the server and it was like finale and I was like, "Oh my gosh, who's in the finale?" And they were like, "Oh, it's the final 2 are like Zap and Izzy." And I was like, "Oh my god, Zap's going to win?" I said in my exit interview that I thought that was like completely impossible. I remember I said in my exit interview I was like, Zap's threat level is so high, there's no way. And I was like, dang, I can't believe she made it all the way to the end. She's gonna win easy. And people were like, oh, the jury's actually being like hypercritical of Zap. And I was like, oh. And they were like, yeah, like apparently they like don't like her. And I was like, that's crazy to me. Because I like thought that like Zap makes and they like win instantly. Um, but then they were like, no, Izzy's gonna win. I was like, you know what, deserved. Izzy was also really great. Like I just loved both of them as a pair also, even though I've met Izzy a lot less. But yeah, I remember being really surprised by that when I did pop back in for finale, and I saw that Sean made it pretty far, and I was like, or I saw Sean EA made it pretty far, and I was like, that's unsurprising to me. I thought he was like a really great player socially and otherwise. I was surprised Sean, like Ava said, I was really surprised actually that Sean AU and Malachi weren't actually. I thought they were going to get like pre-merge. I thought they would get like maybe like where like Jack and Ava placed. I wrote them off completely. I didn't think they would get very far at all. But yeah, honestly, I mean, especially with Malachi, I thought he was going to get my placement. So Yeah, there were a lot of surprises, and I'm glad to hear that this was one of the strongest villain Viber casts there has ever been. Because I was like, dang, is every season like this? How am I ever gonna get ever gonna play again on this server? So I'm glad to hear that this was a particularly strong cast. That makes me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, suddenly 17 doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah,
Right?
it really isn't. It really isn't. I mean, y'all. I'm not saying that y'all are about to jump on the All Stars cast or anything, but not to denounce. No,
Wow.
not like that.
Wow.
Not to denounce your game.
Why would you say that about Ava?
Oh my gosh! Y'all played strong games. But y'all are definitely high quality players. So, but I'm glad that y'all stuck around and you enjoyed the season. And also that you avoided the mess that was the rest of the season. So another question more about you, but less about your specific game of this season. Do you care more about playing a winning game or an entertaining game?
That's so interesting. I don't know. Jen and Shay, DM me and tell me what you think I play because I genuinely have no idea. I think it really depends on who I'm playing with and kind of the vibes. Oh, Jendaya just said I play bad. So we're just gonna ignore her opinion. But I think this season in particular, I don't know. Actually, that's such a mindfuck question because I genuinely don't know. I don't know. I would say maybe I mean, point blank, I always want to win. I always try to win, and I don't think entertainment is ever really on my radar. In a cast like this, though, with so many people who are basically playing characters or a very hyperbolic version of themselves, there was definitely maybe a little bit, not of pressure, but desire to play up my persona and kind of take my character, as you will, up to a higher level than I normally would ever even give attention to. Which ultimately my character this season was boring as shit, and she was just here along for the ride. But yeah, I think if I were to prioritize one of the two, I definitely would prioritize winning, and more so longevity than winning. Just because I think if you're thinking about winning at 17th, 16th, those Ryssi to Jack vote, that's not the good mindset to get in. I think if you think, oh, 2 or 3 tribals past merge, and once you're in the merge thinking, okay, let me start building my resume, because I think pre-merge so often goes unseen, unheard by the jury. So I think I would say, I guess winning, but more so focus on the longevity aspect of winning than I guess resume building, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but
Yeah, I think it does.
Zendaya said I played bad and I literally just won her game 3 hours ago. She's so sick.
Congratulations.
Oh gee, thank you. Gracie, I'm done.
Oh, sorry. Just give me 1 second.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, guys, my first org win ever.
Wait, where did you win? Where did you win?
It's called Jen's World. Actually, I'm pretty sure you're in the server.
Yeah.
I remember checking our mutual servers one
Many
day.
servers. I reached my max. It was bad.
Oh my, I could never. That would give me so much anxiety. But it was a challenge format, and honestly, it would have been very embarrassing if I did not win this season. So, it was a cute little win.
Oh wait, so this is Jendaya's server?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll look for it at some point.
Yes, everyone join Jen's World eventually, because no new season until summer. But they have a very hot prod team, and I'm saying that because Oh, Ashley with the shout out. You're so cute.
Mm.
Yeah. Hot prod team that consists of me, Jendaya, and Shay. Anyways, enough about Jen.
Okay, so the question was,
The question?
entertaining. Would you rather play an entertaining game or a winning
Yeah.
game? I think so. For an entertaining game, are we talking about like resume building or like being like entertaining? Like, because I feel like I can keep like my confessional lively enough without like going like overly strategic. I think I can keep my like confessional lively enough without while still being like over strategic. I like to do like graphic things for different seasons and stuff, and I like doing some editing. Like this season, I was reading the book and I was like, "Oh, the Instagram things," and then I was on voice chat. I was like, "I should do something cool for my trust rankings." I was like, "Oh, I'll do like Instagram like from the book," and I made those, and that was really cute, and I think that was kind of cool, and it was also really easy to digest. I actually wasn't able to write out as much as I wanted to for the trust rankings because I had to like fit it on the Canva thing. And I kept like cheating and like downsizing the words like by like 0.1 or something so I could fit everything on the page. But I feel like I can keep things entertaining at least for specs like that, and then just playing winning. Um, I'd rather play a winning game, but I also feel like whenever I do play, I like tend to just I feel like everybody I mean aligns with people who they really like, and I feel like I like use that as part of my strategy. Like I'll align with people I really like, and I'll be like, these things are mutually beneficial for each of us, and then I'll like try and go far with them. I think that's like I don't know. I would rather play a winning game in consensus. I keep getting off topic, but I'd rather play a winning game because I feel like that's like really cool to like be able to go like really far, and I feel like I can like be an entertaining enough player that it won't be like disappointing to specs if I'm not like pulling off like humongous moves. But I do care a lot about keeping spectators entertained.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I find that super interesting. I asked because I was a juror the other day and was like, I don't give a fuck about who played the best game. I care about who played the most entertaining game. So how did you play the most entertaining game? And yeah, it just made me think. So interesting that you all would rather play a winning game. Who knows? Sometimes the winning game could be the most entertaining game.
That's so deep.
Is it? I don't think so.
That's crazy.
So now we move on to a couple broad questions that I ask every interview. And sorry. So the first one is, do you all still talk to anyone from your season?
I do, obviously.
Right.
Obviously, I talk to Jack. That's Bay. I talk to Zach. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty active in this server, so I talk to a lot of like our prod team. I talk to Zap a good bit. I mean, like Alex and I always find ourselves in voice calls together. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. Like Ginger, I feel like is always like specking the same things that I am. Like we'll watch the podcast at the same time and game night chat, but definitely Jack is the person I talk to the most, obviously, and then Zap. But other than that, it's just like around the server. But love our cast. Everyone is like so sweet and so nice for the most part.
I don't like keep up with many people because I feel like really awkward outside of game talking to people. So like I usually like fall off with people within orgs, but like I feel like I stay like somewhat active in the server. I'll like join game nights and that kind of thing. But I actually don't see that many people from the cast like on the game nights and that kind of thing. when I'm usually there. I'll see Ginger, but like I kept up with Ginger like before this game. I keep up with him after the game. Ginger, I would say, is like one of like the people I'm closer with in like the org community by like a large amount. So I keep up with him a good amount, I think. But besides that, I don't like talk to that many people like outside the server or anything. I talk to like Zab sometimes in the server, I want to say, but like I don't know, I'm kind of lame. I don't keep up with people. I don't know how.
I'm a production simp. What can I say? I love the pod team here.
Aw, we love you. That was so cute. So next question is, y'all managed to get the fuck out of this season before shit got fucking crazy, slightly toxic, really intense. Good for you. Y'all left whenever it was still fun. And so this question might not have a lot of weight, but you can also talk for other org experiences if you want. But can you talk about like mental health in this season, or just mental health in orgs in general?
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for both Ryssi and I, but we definitely did get out before, for lack of a better phrase, shit hit the fan. So I mean, in this org it was great. I remember when Sophie was talking to me and they were like, "Oh yeah, I'm like your mental health like buddy," and I was like, "Huh?" Like, oh my god, I just like most orgs that I play are like super chill. Like they'll get to a certain level of toxicity, but it's like, okay, you're literally 16. Like, say what you want to say. Like, go ahead. But, and then there's also communities where it's like, I'm so stressed out over this org that I'm literally not eating. But I think Villain cultivates like a very safe space, and they take, really, I mean, for lack of a better word, really good care of their, not only just their players, but their community as a whole. I think that's something that you guys should really pride yourselves on. I mean, no, I don't know any other orgs that have people in your DRs just to make sure like you're feeling okay, like outside the game, checking in on you, making sure like it's not taking a toll on you, or like if you are feeling down the dumps, they're there to like just kind of vent to. So yeah, I think mental health in orgs is definitely something that should be talked about more, because of course people use the internet as a place to escape, but if you're escaping to the wrong side of the internet, or in this case the wrong side of the org community, it can definitely get to a point where it's like very taxing on your mental health. You know, especially your reputation precedes you in this community, so one wrong move and it's 2 million different days. So I think you guys do a great job of like keeping that at bay, and like when you guys do see issues, you're quick to kind of shut down any avenue for that to continue. And check in with your castaways and make sure like, hey, if you're feeling some sort of way, the only instance I can really think of in our season that we were both there for was like the microaggressions. And you guys really nipped that in the bud about just making sure like, hey, like we've seen this happen, heard about it happen. Here's what microaggressions are, and here's how not to or how to avoid using them. And it's so easy for people to not educate and just say like, oh, don't do that, but somebody's not going to be able to stop doing that if they don't know what it is. So yeah, overall I think you guys do like a really great job of, again, cultivating a safe and healthy environment for not only your players but the server as a whole. So yes, prod simp coming through in full effect.
Thank you, Ava. Thank you. Before Ricey responds, I just want to say, like, thank you for acknowledging that, because, you know, social justice and mental health is something that is, like, so important to me personally. And as such, the server as a whole, because we're a community first and an org second. And part of being a community is, like you said, taking care of the community, both the players and the spectators and just the community members. And so, doing that includes like education and awareness and things like that. So it's just, yeah, there is absolutely that emphasis, and I agree that I definitely don't see that within the community. And like part of what we hope to do is inspire like other orgs to, maybe they don't have to go as intense with it as we do. Like, I am a mental health professional. I don't expect other people to like do everything that I do, but like um learn from the example that we're setting and kind of put in place like the protections that we do, because this should be fun for everyone. So anyway, Ricey, go for it.
Yeah, what was I had several things. Yeah, no, like, I think you are, like, I think Villain Fiber is, like, a really great, like, pillar of the org community. It has, like, so much of, like, what, like, orgs should, like, really want to be. And I remember one of, like, the first, like, you, orgs I ever played was called, never. I'm not going to go into that. That's a little shady. But it was like kind of like toxic. Like it was very much encouraged that like there were like it was like big like blow up like fight moments were like really encouraged in the server, and that was like I didn't even realize it until like that org kind of like died off. But I was like, wow, that was like really like awful. I did meet a lot of really great people from there, like a surprising amount for like an org that was like really encouraging that stuff. I met like so many people who I do like still kind of keep in contact with, and I still really enjoy. I was like, wow, that was like crazy, and like every time I like I still like talk about that like server a lot, and I'm like, wow, there were like so many blowups and crap that was like insane and like wouldn't fly in so many other orgs. But yeah, I like got on the season, I was like really impressed. I remember I had like Uni as like my mental health person, and I was like, oh, that's crazy. And I like gave Uni like a little crap. Like I consider Uni one of my friends, but like every time I would like receive like a check-in from Uni or something, that would just like boost my day so much. I would just be
Aw.
like, that's like so sweet. That is so awesome that they have this. That like I like have a person to talk to. Like I love interacting with Uni. Like whenever I have like the mental health stuff going on, and like that was just like really great. And that was like such like a huge part of like the Villain Viber experience for me. Like that was like just like so I was like so impressed. I was like so happy to see something like that. And it like boosted my mood tenfold, honestly. Like I loved seeing that so much. I remember after the season was when I was like most kind of like in my head. After I was voted out, I was most like in my head, like mentally, like seeing some like the stuff I was like kind of like talking to Tig, not like actually talking to Tig, but like through reactions and like confessionally was like showing me stuff, and I was like, wow, that makes me so self
Mhm.
conscious, and that was really big for me. I feel like some people get like because like some people really try to emulate like villain gameplay, and actually I've actually seen that from you where I was like really impressed with you because I was like she is like emulate she's like doing like really cool villain gameplay, but it's like not even like remotely toxic. She's like being like really like nice about it. She's like trying her best with it. Like it's like a really nice thing to see. And I was like really like happy to see that, but then like other people like trying to emulate that, and it'll like just like end up being like this like super toxic thing where they like get up in their own heads and like they like do just like genuinely like horrible things on like other people, and I just like hate to see that. And so many people do that throughout orgs where they're like, I'm the villain, I'm gonna do this and this, I'm gonna be a toxic player.
Mhm.
It's just like, why are you doing these things? Like that, like how did it, like you get so much more enjoyment just by like not doing these things. You can get enjoyment out of just being like a cutthroat player and like not just like I'm not gonna get into specific examples, but like not just like actually like going after people and being like a terrible like person. And like people do play very emotionally, and like so they're like emotional players, and they were like people who like, because they're like emotional players, and they'll like prioritize like people they're friends with, and they'll like be like, I had an argument with this person, I don't want to work with them, like my relationship with them, it's over. But then there are like people who like completely like tie their like emotions up in the game, and they'll like let that kind of like puppet them, and that kind of like that really sucks to see. But I don't know, I'm sure I've done that before too, where it's like you like tie your emotions to the game more so than like letting it influence your decisions. You like let it influence like your mood outside of the game. You let it like kind of like pup you around, like I was saying. That can just be like really awful. But yeah, getting back to like the root of the question, like seeing Bill and Viber prioritize mental health like that was like huge to me. I had never seen like an org, or like I hadn't seen like any like org or like big server do anything remotely along those lines before. Like I've seen like there are like mental health what are they called, pipelines.
Um,
One sec. Um, hotlines.
yeah.
But like I feel like those around a lot. But like I never see like people who like actually check in with you like specifically like org mental health, like people who have like played and like dealt with this stuff before like many times, and like just seeing that from Bill and Viber, that was like really, really, really cool.
Yeah. I'm really sorry that, you had to experience that sort of self-consciousness after you get voted out, but I think that's an experience that a lot of people go through, and you didn't even like necessarily vanity search. So imagine like whenever people vanity search, I mean, vanity searching can be really bad, and we try to monitor the things that people say. I mean, people have called us like the politically correct org and whatever, and it's like whatever. But like we do make sure that people say things, and if they're harsh, they're game related. But like we even things that are game related can sting and can be painful, and often like that is whenever it's the worst, whenever you're going, because think about it, like you often vanity search right after you get voted out, so you're already dealing with the pain of like maybe getting blindsided, like whatever, and then you go and see like people criticizing you on a game level, sometimes on a personal level, and it's like it can be really painful. And I just want to stress to anyone who's listening, like the mental health support team, it's a pingable role, and like we're not, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, wow, I'm literally talking about a serious topic, but I have the alumni chat open and Ginger just made a cursed image. So
A hot image at that.
the mental health support team is a pingable role, and the same people who do the check-ins with the players that Ryssi was talking about, anyone who is in the server, hosts, players, spectators, if you're going through something like even like after you got voted out of the game, anything, you can ping that role at any time. If you want to go to DMs, you can just say, hey, can someone from this team DM me? Like it doesn't have to be server related, it can be anything, and someone from that team will support you. So that's just for reference. But yeah, again, I'm just sorry that you had that experience, but thank you both for talking candidly about that. I know it's kind of a touchy subject sometimes, but obviously since that's a priority here, it's definitely a question that I like to ask whenever people come on the podcast. I have one more question for you all. Have you all played like smaller orgs before?
Yeah, for sure.
What about you, Ryssi?
Yeah, I started playing smaller orgs. Yeah, like when I first started out, I played in the server. It had like a max like member count of like maybe 50. It was like one of my favorite games ever, though. The cast was like pretty active. there was like, honestly, the cast was very active for how small it was. This was like 2 years ago, because I remember I played 2 years ago, and then like I like took a few months off. Then I played like a bunch of games in a row, and then I took like a whole year off, and then I played here. But like I played in a smaller org, and it was called like Serve Org. And like it was like themed after like the video game Portal, and that was really fun. It was like it was like a really cool theme. They like really incorporated it into everything. The challenges were actually super impressive for like having such a small mod team. It was clear that they had like been around. They had like seen they like knew how to make like cool challenges, and they had a lot of fresh ideas. I felt like, and seeing all that was really really cool. And I'm not in that server anymore, but like I remember I talked to so many people. There was one incident where like a player like told me to kill myself, and that was like my first experience with org tech toxicity. That was in my first game, but everybody was like super supportive of me, and they probably should have been removed from the game, but they weren't. And then they were like later on like apologized, and it was like kind of cool. Still really messed up though, but yeah, that was like my small org experience. Um, we're talking about small orgs as in like small org, not like small casts, like small like servers.
Yeah, like small servers.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I feel like small servers. I feel like more people should like give these like really small servers a chance, and I don't really do that because I only like plan like orgs of like people who I like consider like friends and like people who I talk to, or like orgs that like have like alumni that I'm like friends with. And yeah, but like I remember it playing there, and I'm like still kind of like nostalgic for that. That was like really cool, and I loved playing that server. I tried. I kind of I like really like over strategized and everything. It was my first time. I like severely overplayed. It was crazy. I don't remember what the original question was.
Oh, yeah, I actually haven't gotten to it, but that's okay.
Speak your truth, right?
You were excited.
I love talking.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I loved that. So I asked if you all have played smaller orgs because I'm curious if you feel like the experience playing in a smaller or less popular org is different from playing in a larger or more popular org. And if so, what are the differences?
I think, or do you have thoughts, Ryssi?
Oh no, you go ahead. I've talked a lot.
Okay. I think for me, I'm like right now in the middle of two different communities, right? So I have like my side of the community from like my home servers that's like pretty much the same pool of people, so it's easy for people to like kind of clock my game when I go in because I've played with them multiple times before. They've been on production for a game I've played or vice versa. And then I'm also on this other side of the community where they're streamers, so we stream our cycles every night. Everyone can watch our games go down, and it's a super super interactive community. If anyone knows like BBTG, it's like that side of the community. So Villain was like the first like very large server that I've played in. And I think what's so like what I loved about this is I literally knew of no one. Like not that I didn't just know anyone, but I didn't know of anybody. So I think playing in smaller servers, you have sometimes an upper hand, but also sometimes a disadvantage of knowing who people are, knowing their reputations, having seen them play before. So I think that's how most smaller, right? They're like in this like community of 5 to 10 different servers that everyone kind of rotates around. But to have this like big hub of a server of now 1,000+ members, from like I think Ryssi said this earlier, like a pillar of the org community where it's just everyone from every community is here. It provides like a really cool perspective from not only playing but also as like a spectator and alumni. But I feel like I'm like losing track of the original question. But I think having experience playing in that, and sometimes relying on pre-game relationships and reputations, and coming into villain and playing and giving everyone an equal opportunity of like, I genuinely don't know you, like let me get to know you and then move forward, rather than judging them on like, oh, I saw you play in Jigsaw, I know that you snake me. So that's why I like playing in bigger. I think it kind of evens out the playing field. And yes, there are people, obviously people knew of, like Izzy, like Sap, of like, oh, I know the reputation, but I can get sides.
You're
Again.
cutting in and out really bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me like off my Wi-Fi. What was like the last thing you caught from me,
Honestly, it's been a
if
while,
anything?
so I don't really remember. The last thing I like remember is like, you were saying how Villain Viver is like the last, like was like the first big community that you played in.
Okay, I will try not to repeat myself, but I think playing in a big community like this, you don't have, I guess it can be an advantage and a disadvantage, right? Of knowing people's reputation, seeing them play before, and having such a big, Ryssi said this earlier, like a pillar of the org community where there's someone from every part of the org community here. It kind of sets the stage of like, here's this level playing field we'll lay out for you guys. You probably have not played before together. If you have, it probably is not a ton. If it is, whatever. But I think that's what's so nice about this compared to those smaller communities is there's no reputations preceding you really. It sets up a very even playing field compared to those circles of communities that everyone kind of hops server to server to server and plays the same game essentially with the same people, in my opinion. If that answers the question. I kind of lost sight of that.
Yeah. See what, just to comment on that, I think that's interesting that you bring that up because I agree with you. I feel like Villain Viver does have like a little sprinkle of kind of all the communities. And but like there are other like orgs that are like very big that like are very distinctly one community. And I feel like the only other
Mhm.
large org that's not like that is Dollar Viver, but that makes sense because we're both like over 1,000 members, and the other big orgs that I'm thinking of are under. So
Mm-hmm. I think the only other like larger community that I would say is kind of like kept to themselves, and this isn't even like a call or anything, just the first thing that comes to mind is Twist Fiverr.
yeah.
Of like Twist Fiverr is very much like their own community, and they kind of cycle between. They have their micros, they have their minis, their speeds, so they're all kind of contained. Whereas like this and Dollar Fiverr, and I feel like even you could maybe say City, I don't really know, but of like communities where like there's somebody from everywhere, which I think is really awesome and provides for a super unique casting experience. I can't speak on it because I'm not on prod, but rather than circling the same like 50 to 60 people who play in a community consistently all the time, just in different servers and formats.
Oh yeah. I mean, from a casting perspective, I love it because I get to meet so many different people. Like, yeah, there are people who like of course I've like asked my friends to apply just to like widen the casting pool. So there are like people who I have, okay, wow, I feel like people are gonna misinterpret that and think like rig, but like so like sometimes there are people who I recognize, but there are largely people who I've never met before. And like I think that that's so fun because we get like anywhere from, I think the smallest casting pool we've ever had is 36 apps, and that was like season 7. And the largest we've ever had is 137, which is season 1. So like those are also, and most of those are very unique people who I never would have met in a million years. And also like I do a lot of recruiting on like Reddit and Twitter. So like Sean, Sean, I got him from Reddit. So yeah, just people who I never would have met. So from the casting process, it's very fun to draw in from all these different communities. But we'll stop talking and let Ricey speak.
Uh, we're talking about like the big differences. The thing about Villain Viber is like a really big like community is I feel like it doesn't like take itself like super seriously when it comes to like being like a server with like over 1,000. Because I've played in like 600 people orgs that are like we're a big org, we're gonna take ourselves super seriously, we're gonna do this and like this, and it's like okay, I guess it's just like I also feel like Villain Viber is a lot more digestible than communities like that. Like you open it up and like you can like see a lot and then you'll like do like the sit down ping and you'll be like or the sit down roll and it'll be like way more. But then it's like a lot of like really like nice people who like are very nice. Like, it's not like a ton of like game talk. It's like you said earlier, like you were like we're we're a community first and org second. Like I think that's really cool. And I feel like you don't see that with like a ton of these like bigger orgs, but yeah, the difference like I feel like there are like Ava was talking about like there are like big like streamer orgs. I've never even heard of that, honestly. I guess I don't get around to too many different orgs. Like I'm in a lot of servers, but I don't like integrate myself very much. Like this is like I'm not like super active in this server, and this is like one of like this is probably the server I'm most active in outside of like my own org. And yeah, so I don't have too much to say, but I think like smaller communities can also be like very great. I feel like it really a lot of it comes down to like production teams, and you guys have like a really really awesome production team. And some like smaller servers, they might have like very small production teams, but they're like really great people, and they're really great to meet and interact with. And it's always nice to like meet those people and interact with those people. Like if I come out of an org and I'm like I might not have played very well, but like I'm really glad I met like these people, and I'm not even just talking about like castaways. I think that just like makes for a really awesome experience, regardless of the size of the org. And I actually like I was saying earlier, like I played like some like really really cool challenges in my first org ever. That was on like a small server with like maybe 50 people, and that was really like that was like just like a really like positive experience for me. So I don't think like size necessarily matters like too much. But you guys also like you guys don't just like you aren't just like a big server and you don't do like much with it, or like you just do like a bunch of speeds. You guys like use your resources like in really cool manners, like the support squad. That's really cool. Like you guys have like mental health staff assigned to each castaway. That's really awesome. I feel like you guys just do like so much with like your big size, and I think that's really awesome. And smaller orgs can't like just don't have the opportunity to do that, um, which is unfortunate. But like, there's also like reasons why they stay small. Like maybe they don't have that many seasons or something, and it just like doesn't like get bigger. Or maybe it's like they like theme themselves around like something like pretty specific, and like after the first like handful of seasons, it's like the people who are like really into that specific theme are already there, and they aren't going to grow that much more after that. But you guys like have a very like diverse like villain vibe where you pick a different villain, you theme it around that. Like we had like Hades, we had your cell phone for season 8, and now we have Ganon for season 9. And you guys have like a lot of room to grow regardless of what theme you pick. And you guys are always using your like big server resources to do really really awesome stuff with like your castaways, and not even just that, like game nights, television discussions, brand steals, sharing art, sharing like songs you like, um, even just recently putting together like a Spotify playlist from like a bunch of your different contestants and having them like each add like a song or like a few songs to it. And that's really awesome. And I just think you guys do so much, and that's really awesome. But I don't think that invalidates like how cool it can be to see like a smaller server do like new and creative things with like the org format.
Absolutely. Oh, that was really nice of you, Ryssi. You're so good at like hyping people and things up. Like you should be like a motivational speaker. Um, I am very curious about how you feel like so the original way that I intended the question, and I love the way that you interpreted the question. I do have to say, because
I feel like you're saying interpreted when really I just like start talking and I forget the question halfway through and then I just keep talking.
it like you're like the way that your mind works is like I love it. And I think Ava also kind of like interpreted it the way that you did. I was so wrapped up in your answer that it feels like Ava's answer was forever ago, not because you talked for so long, just because it's like your answer was so like I was so wrapped up in the compliments. But like so the original way that I meant the question was like on a gameplay level.
Oh,
But
He said, "Oh."
I didn't realize. I can talk about that.
I do love the way that you answered it though.
Okay. Um, okay. So gameplay wise, when you're in a smaller server with a smaller cast, you can be like, oh, there aren't as many places to hide because you're in a smaller cast, but there are also like more inactives. Like this season, I didn't see any players who I could just be like, oh, this person is inactive, this person isn't gonna fight like right off the bat. Like even our first boot, Joey, people were like Malachi was like, I'm not that attached to Joey, but like Joey's playing in my server right now, and he's like doing pretty well. Like, okay, I'm not speaking onto that, but like, he's like a player. He's like a player in the game, and so when you have like these huge casting pools that like smaller servers don't have, you can like be a bit more choosy with like because you'll like have like a bunch of casts like applications that have like a bunch of paragraphs like going down like whole like essays for different questions. That's like crazy, and you can like be a bit more choosy where you're like, this player might be a tad too game body, so let's do this player. He's like a tad less game body, maybe not as strategic, and then we like might not have like as full gameplay, but we can have like a more specific thing that we want for the season with like better like characters like interacting on the season, and that'll be really cool. And smaller servers don't usually have that privilege, but so when you're like playing on a smaller server from like a gameplay perspective, you do actually end up, even if you're playing with like 16 castaways, you'll have like a bit more space to like hide, or honestly, a bit more space if you want to try out like a different strategy or something like that. You'll have like more opportunities to do something cool like that. But then you will also have like not as many specs. Like I probably wouldn't have done like the super involved Instagram trust rankings for like a smaller server because I wouldn't think as many people would have seen them. Whereas here I was like, oh, a lot of people will like see this and they'll think it's cool, so I'll do it like that. And like people who read the book will like get the references kind of, and that'll be really cool. Um, Specifically like my gameplay in a smaller server. Smaller servers are usually less twist heavy than like big servers, so I'll like have a bit more room to grow there. But yeah, I mean it's not like you can like write off players from smaller orgs either, because like a lot of times like the better players who are like playing a season will be like friends with a host and they'll like have done like really good confessionals in another server, and so the host will have invited them there and they'll be playing. And so it's just like you just get like you have more time to wait until um it comes down to like when like you have to like get big threats out and do like end game preparation in a smaller server versus a big server, I
Okay.
guess.
Yeah. I totally hear you, and I feel like that is something that is what I hear a lot, like in response to this question. So that checks out. Before we move on to Elk's little segments, I do have to ask a question that the people have been asking. since cast reveal?
I've
I
already
know,
answered it.
but like, we'll continue to ask, and we have to put it to rest. We have to put it to rest. What
I'll
is
play again
So
10
what
funny.
is
I'll be
Het
asked
but
about it.
fruity? What is Het but fruity?
So like I'm straight, but also I think you called it like queer coded. So like I'm like online a lot, and so I don't know. Like I like to use like my nail care emojis and stuff like that. I don't know.
There you have it. There you have it. Ricey is straight, but he is queer coded. He was meant to be gay, but God did not have it in the plans. So men, back off. Ladies, hit him up. Right. All right. We will now move on to Elk's segments.
Okay, I'll be back in just a second.
Okay,
All right, so
wait,
we have
we're
a couple
taking
of
a
segments
break. Ricey said that he'd be right back.
Yeah, Elk. Come on.
I was gonna let Ava start on the first one and then introduce it to Ricey when he came back. So we have a couple of segments we like to do at the end of each of these interviews. And the first one here is going to be 2 to 3 players from your season you were especially impressed by on a gameplay level other than our winner, Izzy.
Okay, like without saying, obviously my girl Zap. I don't think I've ever seen anybody play that dominant of a physical game. So, I mean, Zap's game like literally plays for or speaks for herself. So that is what I would say on a physical standpoint. I'm trying to think. Honestly, I will say Malachi just because I think we mentioned this earlier. I think early on in the season, Malachi was somebody that we were all very quick to kind of write off as like, oh, like he hasn't super well connected socially. Like we could probably get rid of him at any point if we wanted to. So to see him kind of like defy those odds and get as far as he did was super impressive. And I think he found himself in some pretty good positions as the game progressed after the merge. So that was really impressive and super cool to see. And then I would say let's see, I'm like trying to think of else. Oh, honestly, like I said this earlier, I love a good villain. So like this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think Elle's game was so entertaining to watch. And I think being a very obvious villain and surviving as long as he did was super impressive. Maybe all of the steps that he took weren't the best, or maybe his game was a little bit messy there towards the end, but I respect the villain. I love the way he played. I didn't really get to see all the mess with him, but yeah, that was super cool. Oh, Ginger asked me to pick them. Ginger was also very impressive. And my boyfriend, Jack, was impressive. But my top 3 would be Elle, Malachi, and Zap.
All right, I think that's the sound of Ricey coming back. So Ricey, we're on our first segment, which is 2 to 3 players from your season other than the winner who you were impressed by their gameplay.
Zap, I didn't think could make it to the end, but I thought that they were like too good of a player to make it to the end. Honestly, I was like, their threat level is so big, and if it's not big right now, it's going to skyrocket because I think they're playing a really great game, and they just kind of like they like fucked shit up. Honestly, they ate that shit up. They fucking destroyed that game. So I was really impressed with Zap winning so many immunities. Also, like that's crazy to me. I could never. Who else? Sean EA. From when I first met him, I was like, I love this dude. I was really impressed with Sean's gameplay throughout the entire season, even though I didn't spectate it that much. But like, yeah, Shawnee A is really cool, and I really enjoyed talking to him like every time we were like on a tribe together. So that was really cool, and I'm just picking people who I liked talking to, honestly, who made it far. I don't know what Tig I think did pretty well. Tig ate it up. Tig went pretty far, I think, and Tig had a pretty good social. I think. I think Tig probably would have been like a really big threat to win. Um, um, yeah. I don't know.
Fair enough. All right, we'll move to our next segment where we want each of you to pick again 2 to 3 people from your season you enjoy getting to know on a personality character level.
I mean, I feel like my first answer is a cop out, but obviously Jack. I mean, maybe not so much in him, so maybe I should retract that statement. Character level. I mean, I'm gonna bring it back to L. I mean, when we were on our OG tribe together, we really hit it off super well. And at that point, he wasn't really in his villain era. And if he was, I had no idea. So, he was somebody that I really enjoyed. And I think had a good. Yeah, I think L would be my first pick. Why is Jack on the stage? I'm scared. And then
That's Jack.
mhm.
He kind of looks like Jack, yeah. Let's see.
Let's see. I'm like going through the cast. Yeah, I guess I'll say okay, I will put my pride aside and say Jack because I did fall for his little trap, so he did get me on a good character level. So yeah, I will say Ellen Jack. Not me simping for the men. This is disgusting.
Okay, Racey, over to you.
I'm gonna say the exact same people from my previous response. I really enjoyed meeting Zeb. I also really enjoyed meeting Ava. Everybody like the Furzappy Alliance is probably one of my favorite like groups of people who I've played with in like across like all of my orgs. Like that's got to be like up there for like one of my favorite alliances. Um, I really enjoyed talking to Tig also. Oh, and especially Alex. I loved talking to Alex a lot when I remembered he was around. I liked talking to Tig, and every time I worked with Tig, I was really excited. And I was like, I hope Tig goes far. And the same thing to Sean. I feel like I have the same sentiments with like about like both Sean and Tig, where it's like these people are really cool, and these people are people I want to work with going forward. And obviously, not as much. I didn't get to do as much as I did, but I was like, wow, these people are really cool. And I hope they go far. And after the season, I think I like texted both. I was like,
oh, it's working.
oh, hi, Jack. Yeah, I think those are my 3 picks.
Every time I play the John Cena theme song, it cuts out.
Oh,
Unlucky.
Sorry.
No worries. And next we're gonna go is the moments that made the season. So we're gonna have each of you pick 3 moments from the season. One of them is a moment that surprised you. One of them is a moment that made you happy, and one of them is a moment that you found hilarious.
this is hard for pre-mergers.
Okay, a moment that made me happy, a moment that surprised me, and what was the other one?
A moment that made you laugh.
Oh god. Okay.
God, I've been only around for 4 episodes.
Can they be things that I spec, or do they have to be things I was
Yeah,
thinking?
they can be from things that you saw from Spec Lounge too. That's fine.
Okay. Shock when y'all went to Rocks. That was crazy. Was not expecting that.
Yeah, that was so dumb.
Oh, a jump scare. I forgot you were this call. Rocks was crazy. A moment that made me laugh. A moment that made me happy. Oh, a moment that made me happy was watching Jack get voted out. That was a good one. That was real karma for me. Him getting idled out. That was a good little happy moment. Something that made me laugh. I feel like there were so many moments that I can't even think of one. Ryssi, if you think of anything, please.
Oh wait, that made you what? That made you laugh?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Was this a funny season?
I mean, Izzy's moment in the puzzle was funny. That was like probably my
What was
hardest.
Izzy's moment in the puzzle?
She just said, "Are you gonna take a shit halfway through?" Like during the puzzle, when like somebody gave like
I
a
was
high
probably so
estimate.
pissed about Shaggy or what's his name?
Saggy fucking rules. That's my favorite person I've ever met.
Whoa.
I was so pissed at him during the challenge, and then after I met him, like actually, I was like, oh, I like this guy, but I never met him, and then he was just like fucking around in the puzzle chat, and being like, "L, you guys fucking suck at puzzles," and I was like, this motherfucker, and Ashley was like, Saggy, if you keep talking in here, you're gonna get striked, and Saggy like just kept talking, and he never got striked, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? I was so pissed. I was like, this little shit. I don't know. Wait, I don't know. What made Ava laugh? LOL.
Oh, a moment that made me laugh was when I said JFC in my chat with Jack, and he asked if that meant John F. Kennedy, but Kennedy with a C. That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny. That was a good one. That was a good one. John F. Kennedy with the C.
I don't remember most of the season.
Same. As I talk more, I like keep talking about the same things because I was only around for 4 episodes, and I'm just like, what even happened?
Well,
Wait,
okay, Ashley told me that you were like freaking people out. Who was it? Like
Alex.
Alex? Yeah, you were freaking Alex out. That was so funny that you just like
Oh,
made him
yeah, that
super
definitely made me
uncomfortable.
laugh. There was one time, so we were on voice chat, and it was like there was another. I think like Uni was there, but Uni was like muted and just like chilling, and Uni might have been playing putt putt. But then there was like Alex, me, and Ashley, and everybody else had left, and Ashley was like, "Okay, you guys can talk game now." And me and Alex like talked like only like a tad game, and then he was like, "Oh, the Safari comes out soon." I was like, "Oh yeah, Safaris are crazy." He was like, "I've never done a Safari before. What's it like?" And I had never done a Safari before either, but I was like, "Oh yeah, you know, like an African Safari." And he was like, "Oh yeah, ha ha, right. So you have to like go to Africa and like." After that's how you find an idol, and I was like, no, like I was like, you know what that is, right? And he was like, yeah, and he was like, you know, like they're like the narrators, you have to like narrate like your own like Safari thing, like IRL, and you have to like record, and it's like super in depth, and it's like crazy to find an idol and super complicated. And he was like, I don't know if I'm like comfortable with like making all these recordings. I was like, yeah, I mean, if I were you, like they're probably gonna like send a link to the server soon. If I were you, I would just like it's really complicated. I would just like not touch it at all. Like I wouldn't even look into it. And it was like he was like, oh okay. And later Ashley was like talking. She was like, oh yeah, me and Roman were like in staff chat. We are like, should we interfere here? But like there was like a solid like I'm not gonna exaggerate. It was only like it was like 10 or 20 seconds, and like nobody said anything. And then I like coughed, and Ashley started laughing, and then I started laughing, and Alex was like, what's going on, guys?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing." Ashley coughed, and it made me laugh, and he was like, "Okay." I don't know, that was funny. What made me happy? Um, when Tig told off Elle and Ponderosa, that made me happy. That I was out of the game at that point. And then I was also texting somebody who told me to go look at that. That was really, yeah, that made me happy. And what was the last one? What surprised me? My vote off. I thought Malachi was coming home.
I was gonna say the same thing. I should have said that. Your vote out was like, that was more of a blindside than my vote out.
That was a blindside. I got out. No, that made me mad though, because like my parchment came up and I don't know. It was either Jack or Malachi, and they were like skull. They were like skull emoji. I can't believe he wrote that. And I was like, at least I'm putting in effort to my parchments. Like, of course I wrote that. I wrote that. I would write that if I knew I was going. So I was like,
Wait, when you wrote what?
I don't remember what it was like because Malachi was like he would have like a Splatoon thing, and I put like a Splatoon like thing, like a battle from like Splatoon on the parchment, and I was like, you should have covered more ground, because people were like, oh yeah, Malachi hasn't been really talking to me. And I was like, oh man, this parchment is so mid, because it was right after Vic Moth. And then after that got sent, it was like Malachi, and he was like skull emoji. Can't believe you wrote that. That he was like, he was like, that's so ironic. And I was like, shut the fuck up, Malachi. I thought I did good. But yeah, those are my 3 moments. My vote out was my surprise. Al getting told off by Tig was my happy, and my funny was gaslighting Alex in the infamous voice chat that has earned me a reputation on the server. Oh, and my stand name should have been the Gas Writers. I don't know what it is. It's like Rysie's Pieces. That makes no sense. And Brandon's pronouncing it.
Is that the end of the segments?
Yep. Those were our 3 segments that we do.
Okay, so I'm sending Jack back to the audience now.
Why was he here?
To support Ava during that journey. And definitely not because he bribed me with $5. And so I guess like now we take audience questions. Does anyone in the audience have any questions for Rava? Zach has a question.
Rava. Yes.
Ryssi or Ava, which one of you liked me better, says Zach.
What kind of...
It was Ava. Next question.
Like, which one of us liked Zap more? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say probably me. Yeah.
Easy.
Oh.
Wait, why would you say it's you?
Like, I think I liked Zap more than you liked Zapped. Like,
why?
Blah, blah, blah.
What?
I think because the question is, who liked Zap more, me or Ryssi?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I liked Zap more than Ryssi liked Zap.
Why?
Well, I think I just had more trust in Zap too. Like, I think
What?
You said me, so right?
Yeah, I was joking. I thought you were gonna say me.
Oh no. I think it's me, because I think you had other people that you were pouring into, but I really didn't.
Like who?
You're right. Honestly, you're right. I don't know. Okay, I'll change my answer to Ryssi.
Thank you. I'll keep my answer as Ava.
The post-game beef begins.
Okay. Also, for the record, from an outside perspective, it definitely looked like Ryssi and Zap were closer. Anyway, so Ginger asks, Ryssi, Bluey season and Cartoon Viver when?
I haven't watched it. Every time I join a voice chat with Ginger, he's like, "How's the Blue Watch going?" And I'm like, "I haven't started. I just haven't had time. I might start it Sunday night, or I might study for my anatomy test."
I want you to make All
Yeah.
Stars a Bluey season, but I know, like, from a
No.
marketing perspective, like, it would be better to have a newbie season be Bluey because it would be way popular.
It's one of my 3 seasons that I have for if we ever need to do like a big server revival. So if we ever need to do a big server revival, we'll either do the Owl House, Amphibia, or Bluey.
That's good.
Or if I just want more cast applications.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
Or I might just do them after like big returning seasons, so we can like enter a new era smoothly.
Oh yeah.
I know. You know, that's my thought process.
To Ava, these questions are so unserious. How did it feel when you won season 8? From Tig.
Please, that's so unserious. Who asked that? Was
It
it
was Tig.
fucking
It was
Jack?
Tig.
Oh, incredible. Winning season 8 has been the best accomplishment, not only of my org life, but my life in general. I don't think I will ever have a moment that will live up to it as well as that. When I won against Izzy and Zap from the battle back of the pre-jury with a unanimous vote, I truly fell to the floor and started sobbing into the fetal position. It has been such an honor to represent our season as the winner. That's how it felt.
Tig has a question for the general audience. How did this girl not win fan fave?
I don't know. I thought I did good too.
Oh, not Ryssi trying to make this about himself. As if this wasn't originally his interview. To Ryssi from uni. Thoughts on ASMR videos?
So uni can't sleep without watching chalk eating ASMR videos. I don't know. That might be worrying. I don't know. I don't think I have like a valid opinion on that. I think that uni's ASMR self-exploration chalk eating journey, I think that's something she has to figure out for herself. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Where are y'all getting these questions from?
Where are we getting them?
Alumni.
Yeah, alumni chat.
Mm-hmm.
From Tig to Ryssi, what are you drinking?
Oh my god, it's so good. So for the longest time, part of like a treatment, I couldn't like have like it was like this really like intense diet, but there were a lot of things I couldn't like eat at all. But and sugar was one of those things. But so all the food was really bland because there were a lot of like things that I couldn't eat. But sugar was one of them. But I could still have like 0 sugar soda. And I still drink it because this is so good. Also, if I drink regular soda, it's just like so sugary. I just like cannot do it. Zap, I'm not okay. I'm like freezing and I talk really fast when I'm cold. But it's called Pepsi Zero Sugar Mango, and mango is so good in this. It tastes so good. This is a fantastic drink, and you should try it.
Thank you for the recommendation. It sounds disgusting, but thank you for the recommendation.
Are you serious?
No, I
You don't
hate
like
mango personally.
Oh, you're fucking
Thank
weird.
you so much. You're the one who's het but fruity. Anyway, oh my god, Zap
gonna get the other
earlier, I don't
questions
know if
are
you
just-
saw it, but Zap said Ryssi has the gay accent. Then she goes, is that homophobic?
I always
No,
have
no,
the
no.
question. No, but whenever because I keep like the HEPA fruity thing, and I actually was like, "Oh, you're queer coded," and I thought that meant queer baiting, and I was like, "Oh
You,
fuck, that's not what I'm trying to do at all." I was really worried
no, that
about it.
wasn't a question. That wasn't a legit question. That's so funny.
No, Zap has a lot of good questions here.
Um,
Hold on. Is Ricey okay? Rissy, are you healthy? All good questions. We don't have the answers to all of them. To be it's so good. It's so
Ginger has
good.
a serious question for both of you. What was the experience of being able to see all confessionals and everything else going on in the game when you got out?
Wait,
What
what?
was the experience of being able to see all confessionals and everything else going on in the game when you got out?
That's the one to you should try that one, no homo.
It was definitely very interesting. Well, because we got to see everything for like 6 votes, at least after I got voted out, and then everything got shut down. So it was truly like watching, like from a spec standpoint, I couldn't see shit. So it was definitely really cool. Improved a lot of my perceptions to be wrong, but going in and reading like what was going on like during my vote, during like other people's votes was just like it's so eye-opening because it's like you when you're playing you have such a set perspective on your game, what you think other people's games are, and your perception is your own reality, right? So then when you go back and read like, oh, I think we need to get Ricey out to hinder Ava's game, when I'm over here thinking I'm not a threat at all, I'm like chilling under the radar. It's super interesting, and honestly I think one of like good org players are able to go read that stuff and kind of evaluate, okay, how can I, instead of react to this, prepare for it. So that's something that I do when I vanity search is like, okay, how can I learn from other people's perspectives of me and alter it when I play. Makes sense at all.
Ricey?
Sorry, I'm trying to remember. The question was, what was it like seeing everything after you got out? So after I got out, I didn't really vanity search, but I went to like the players who I like really liked confessionals. And I like left like supportive emojis, and like one or two of them I texted and I was like, "Good luck in the game. Oh my gosh, I hope you do really good." I already talked about this a little earlier, but I was like really like upset by like because I was like kind of like I was like reacting in Tate's confessional and like showed me some stuff that somebody else had said about me, and that was like really upsetting to me. And that was so that like actually now I'm kind of remembering that's like a major part of the reason I didn't spec this season anymore. And then when I did like come back to like look at the server again, everything had kind of been covered up. So that was like a big thing. But then like another, I already talked about that earlier. But then another thing, I was really concerned during the microaggressions thing when they put out the thing about microaggressions, because like a little before that and like the day of that being put out, I was talking and I was like, it was like that was like my vote out like day I think, and I was like going around and I was like, in like especially my confessional and like to a few other players, I was like, Ava's kind of like gathering a lot of power. Like Ava's like woman in charge. Like Ava's like got like a little simp thing. And I was like really concerned that the microaggressions thing was about me, and I thought I was gonna get to spec chat and everybody was gonna be like, you were hating on Ava because she was girl bossing it up. you like saying the whole thing about like the Sims, like you're just trying to like make her out to be like the poverty type, and I was like, and so like right after that got put out, I was like, and like it was like great for doing this, like it was like a really great player, so I like started like clarifying in my confessional, and I was like, it was like a great player, and like it was really great for this, and that's why I have to like weaken her, and I like kept like reasoning it more in my confessional because I thought I was like being like shat on in spectator chat for targeting Ava. But when I got out, I was like, oh, cool, I wasn't.
Period.
On God, the house down boots slay.
Yes, head but fruity. I know that's right.
Serve looks queen.
Wow. Yeah. I just like, I didn't, I like, that's crazy. Like hearing that, I don't know. It's like, there's so much that, we don't know that happens behind the scenes, I guess. Like, I don't know. I don't like really know how to explain like what I'm thinking. It's just, I don't know, like Ricey, I didn't realize that you had such. I mean, it doesn't sound like you had like overall a negative experience, but it definitely seems like there was a period that was negative for you, and that hurts. And I imagine it hurt for you. And that's just really sad. Yeah, but okay. So does anyone have any last minute questions before we wrap up?
No Java questions. My dream.
Girl, I think we know more than we even need or want to know about Java. Oh, Ginger wants to know what's the baby's name. Ginger
Huh?
wants to know what's the baby's name.
If it's a girl, I would want to name it Olivia. Or her.
What's wrong with it?
You know, I'm not gonna.
Keep
I'm
going,
not gonna.
Ava. Don't take that disrespect.
I'll name her Olivia. If the baby is a boy, I will name him Het but
Oh,
Fruity.
good name, good name.
That is a good name. Is it after anybody?
Malik, I'm so sorry. Oh my god. Malik, I love you.
Wait, Malik got called Hepa Fruity also?
No, he got called like. Never mind, Rexy.
Malik got called Olivia?
Anyway,
Yeah, Malik got called Het but Fruity earlier.
Okay.
That's what people are using as an insult now. Anyway, I think that this is a good place to end it.
Ginger asked me another
Y'all
question.
are Ginger. You asked Ginger to ask you a question, and Ginger specifically asked Ava a question.
No, Ginger
Alex
also asked
wants
me
to
a
know
question.
how you would feel if he came out as heterosexual.
I would
I
ask
wouldn't
if
believe
he's
you.
okay. I would ping the mental health support role.
Oh my, there is so much homophobia happening. We have to end this. We have to end this.
No.
We have to end it. Zap is over here saying
off.
your voice is too high. Like, we gotta stop. We gotta stop. Like, this is too much. Oh, Ginger wants to know thoughts on gays. Ricey, okay. Like, think before you answer this.
I stand with the gays.
The gays. The
Me
gays.
too. Me too.
Wait, Ricey, no way you describe yourself as a froyo artist.
I quit that job. Oh my god. So oh my god. So I got into like multiple arguments with the owner over whether or not we were able to serve expired food, serve expired yogurt, and so she would like now after I'm gone, I like still get like pictures sent, and it's like the yogurt is green, like the strawberry yogurt has turned green. It like all congeals at the top of the machine. It's disgusting. And then like one of the big incidents was that while I was working, so the general manager um okay, first of all, the general manager is 17 because they have a scapegoat in case anything like illegal happens. They can kind of like blame it on the general manager, and they're a minor, so they won't get as serious charges. However, so the general manager was in, and she's like talking to her mom, and her mom was like kind of like helping, like they were like rewriting like stuff on top of the snack bar, and the snack bar has like this big glass shield on it, and so they were like wiping off like the words that were already written on, so they could rewrite them because they hadn't been rewritten in like a year, and so her mom was like wiping it off, and like the glass broke, and it all fell everywhere, and so the owner came in and she like took over, and like supposedly changed everything. Then that night, while I was like flipping toppings, I was like, "Oh, I guess this one can get changed," because I found some glass in like the white chocolate covered pretzels, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is bad." I was like said to my friend, I was like, "What should we do?" And he was like, "I don't know. I guess it should. It's probably just the one like the owner might have handled it." And this lady comes in and she's like, "I found glass in my daughter's
Oh my
frozen
God.
yogurt." Or my daughter found glass in her yogurt. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." And so I told the owner, and the owner was like, "They're probably making it up." And I was like, "What? The glass bar shattered?" And she was like, and I was like, "Did you flip everything?" And they were like, "No, but I didn't need to. It wouldn't have gotten over there." And I was like, "Dude, there's like," and I started looking around, and I like found a bunch of glass all over the floor, and I was like, "Did you actually clean this?" And they were like, oh my god. Anyway, it was exhausting, and I quit. And they said that they were gonna make me work on Christmas Day because of seniority, and I was like, I literally just like will not be in town for this. And they were like, it's well then, I guess they were like, you can't just tell that to your boss. You guys need to start taking this job seriously. And I was like, I work on like a frozen yogurt shop. Like, shut the fuck up. I don't know. Fucking, that was so annoying. But yeah, I quit that job, and now I'm back at my old job where I make bagel sandwiches, and I send those in the foodie channel. Except I stopped sending them. I made my own in my server, and now people send stuff in there. It's really cool. But yeah, my sandwiches are always eating, slaying.
Wait, Rysy, do you remember that interaction? I forget who you had it with, but someone was like, "Oh, my cousin works in a froyo shop," and then you were like, "So do I," and then you were like, we have both of that, or we have so much in common. Do you remember that?
No. Do you know who I was with? Wait, was this while I was in the game?
It was you. Yeah, someone was saying how. Yeah. It was while you were in the game, and
I was probably I have no idea what you're talking about, but given what you just told me, I was probably like, we have so much in common, we have to work together. And it was probably to a completely random person like Sean or you. Wait, was this with Jack?
wait, yeah, I think it was.
Oh, it was probably during my vote out
It
too.
was so funny though. You were like, we have so much in common. Like, bitch, what? I don't know. It was hilarious though. Anyway, Milk, you can go ahead with the wrap up, the outro.
All right, thank you everyone for joining us today, whether you're listening live in our studio audience in the Discord, whether you're listening to this after the fact on YouTube. We hope you've enjoyed getting to hear a little bit more from Ryssi and Ava, two of our players from Season 8, and we hope that you'll join us this Saturday for our speed preseason for Season 9, as well as staying tuned for all our coverage of Season 9 Second Chances. With that, I have been Elk, one of your hosts here today. Along with me, my co-host today has been,
Ashley.
and our two guests today have been.
Ava
And
and
Ryssi, yay!
yes.
All right. With that, we'll go ahead and close the recording and move things into the post show.
Bye.